Who is the sleeping man? The sun had just begun to rise over the rugged cliffs of Tenerife when Jay Slater vanished, swallowed, it seemed, by the island's jagged wilderness. But the last whispers of his story don't fade into windswept rocks or ocean mist. They trail into a stranger's room where a man slept through history, or perhaps, some say, shaped it. Jay Slater was 19. British, bright-eyed, and brimming with that restless kind of energy that lingers long after festivals end. He'd flown to Tenerife with 2 mates, chasing music and mayhem. For 3 days, they soaked in it, pulsing beats, sand sticking to sweat, cheap drinks, blurry selfies. They went to New Rave Generation at Papagayo Beach Club, where strobe lights turned humans into shapes and the sea pounded a bass line from beyond the cliffs. Then, on the final morning, Jay disappeared. At first, it seemed like a tragic but explainable story. A young man, last seen in the hills near Masca, his phone dying, his friends asleep in a hotel. He'd gone off with 2 men he'd met the night before. The next morning, he was missing. But the details didn't line up. His phone pinged miles from the coast, along a treacherous path most tourists avoid. He called a friend at 8:50 a.m., said he was lost and needed water. Then, silence. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel. And that's where the sleeping man entered the story. The room at the edge of the island. According to reports, Jay left the club with 2 older men and returned with them to a holiday rental deep in the island's northern wilds, far from the party towns. Locals call it El Borde, the edge. Rugged cliffs, winding roads like spilled ink, goat paths leading into silence. The rental home was perched like a secret. A dusty stucco box with green shutters and chipped ceramic tiles. One of the men allegedly offered Jay a place to sleep. His phone was nearly dead, and he didn't have a charger. Then, somehow, he was directed to use a charger belonging to another man. That man was asleep. The police called him the sleeping man. The story goes like this. Jay was told he could plug his phone into the charger next to this man, asleep in the room. But he didn't. Or maybe he did for a moment, but left with only 1% battery. Why? Who offers a charger but tells you to tiptoe around a snoring stranger? Why would a young man, tired and lost, not wait for his phone to charge before hiking into hostile terrain? Who is the sleeping man? Theory 1. The innocent stranger. The simplest explanation is often the right one. This theory paints the sleeping man as a non-entity, a guy who had a charger, happened to be unconscious, and missed the entire event. In this version, Jay was disoriented. Maybe hungover. Maybe anxious to get back to his friends. Maybe the atmosphere in the house felt wrong. Maybe he didn't want to be there anymore. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel. He saw the phone flash to 1%, thought he'd make it. Maybe he thought there'd be signal further down the road. He left. The sleeping man kept sleeping, unaware he was becoming a character in a national mystery. But if it's so simple, why does it feel so off? Theory 2. The dealer's house. Another theory swirled among TikTok sleuths and Reddit threads like wildfire. Jay ended up at a dealer's house. The kind of place you only go at 3 a.m. when your night hasn't ended but probably should. This theory paints the men as older, involved in something beyond innocent after parties. The sleeping man wasn't just tired, he was out. Maybe drunk. Maybe drugged. Maybe guarding something. Or hiding something. Jay wanted to charge his phone, but something went wrong. A vibe. A threat. A misunderstanding. So he grabbed his things and bolted. His heart pounding. Battery on 1%. No water. No map. Just mountains and fog. In this version, the sleeping man isn't passive. He's a shadow. A symbol. The moment when things stopped making sense. Theory 3. The Watcher. A more unsettling theory suggests the sleeping man wasn't asleep at all. In this version, everything was deliberate. Jay is lured to the house, told he can stay. He's handed a phone charger, led to a room. There's a man lying on a mattress. Is he breathing? Is he really asleep? Jay hesitates. The phone buzzes 1%, then slips to black. He senses danger. The air is wrong. The sleeping man opens one eye. Jay runs. The hills above Masca swallow him. The power of the unknown. What makes the sleeping man so haunting is that no one can explain him. The two men Jay went home with were allegedly cleared by police. The house was searched. Nothing sinister was found. But no one can recall the sleeping man's name. No one seems to know where he is now. No photos. No interviews. Just a phrase floating in the case files. He is the question at the center of a vanishing. The gap where logic should live. The metaphor for all the things we never find out. Digital ghosts. In the weeks after Jay disappeared, his name lit up the internet like neon. TikTok flooded with videos, some heartfelt, some speculative, some exploiting grief for views. Instagram accounts analyzed shadows and photos. Reddit threads dissected satellite images. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel. And through it all, the sleeping man. Not just as a clue, but as a meme. A myth. The unknowable. People began to ask, who else have we met who slept through something vital? What secrets lie behind closed doors while the world burns outside? One comment read, "We are all the sleeping man." Someone is always shouting for help outside, and we never hear. A mother's question. Jay's mother, Debbie, flew to Tenerife the moment she heard he was missing. She walked the same treacherous paths, pleaded with reporters, repeated the same maddening questions. Why didn't he stay at the house? Why didn't he charge his phone? Who was that man? The pain in her voice turned those questions into hymns, repeated endlessly, scrawled on posters, echoed in hashtags. When she spoke to the press, her words were quiet, sharp. Someone knows something. They always do. And then, nothing. The searches continued for weeks. Helicopters, drones, dogs, volunteers. The barrancos, ravines. Swallowed noise and heat alike. Hope flickered, died, then returned. A few sightings. A possible jacket, but nothing concrete. Jay Slater, like so many before him, had vanished into the folds of geography and silence. And somewhere, still, the sleeping man is out there. Maybe awake now. Maybe watching the news like the rest of us. The story we tell ourselves. Maybe Jay left the house with a gut feeling. Maybe he fled something we'll never understand. Maybe he was just trying to make it back in time for his flight, still thinking he'd laugh about it later. But we are left with images. A boy with a dying phone. A stranger sleeping in a rented room. A sun rising over cliffs that do not forgive. In the end, perhaps the sleeping man is more than a detail. He's the symbol of every unanswered question. Every dead-end lead. Every time someone vanishes and leaves only riddles behind. He is the part of the story we can't control. The piece that won't charge. The mystery that refuses to wake up. Postscript. The search for Jay Slater remains open. If he is alive, may he find his way home. If not, may his loved ones find peace. As for the sleeping man, whether he was just an innocent bystander, an unwilling participant, or something darker, he reminds us of one thing. Even in our hyper-connected world, it's still possible to disappear. And sometimes, the most haunting mysteries begin in the quietest rooms. Subscribe the channel to get such videos.